There is a hadith mentioned by Imam Tirmidhi in his Sunan in the chapter of blessings of salutations upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for which the summary is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that whoever recites one salawat upon me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send 10 blessings upon that person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inscribe for him 10 good deeds in his book of deeds. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in another narration that is mentioned, will forgive 10 of his sins. So it is immensely important for people like us who are sinful to do things that will erase our sins, so that when we go to the day of judgment, we get the book in our right hand, inshallah. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin ma'adan al-judi wal karam alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with intelligence and with the power of reason. And it is this power of reason and intelligence that elevates the status of human beings, that we are able to deduce things and we are able to reason with things. The topic for today, by the caption of it, it sounds like a children's story. You probably must have gotten in the text. The topic for today is the 4 donkeys of Shaitan. And it is based on a riwayah which is mentioned by Al-AMIN rahimahullah in his book Nuzhatul Majalis. And it is also mentioned in a few other books of the same stature by other scholars as well. It is a riwayah, not a hadith, and narrated by ulama in their books. So we don't dispute the authenticity, but the moral lesson which comes out of it is of importance. So it is mentioned that once Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wassalam was going, he was walking and he met Shaitan, Iblis. He met Shaitan and he saw that Shaitan has 4 donkeys with him. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he was obviously, perplexed. So he asked Shaitan, "Oh, where are you going?" And he says that I'm taking my things of trading with me. He said, what is up with these donkeys? What are you carrying on them? Because the donkeys were loaded. So Shaitan says that this is my merchandise, which I'm carrying on the donkeys. So Isa alayhi salam asked, what is your merchandise? Meaning, what is it that you are carrying with you to do business with? What is it that you sell that you are carrying on the donkeys? So the response that Shaitan gives is an interesting one. He says, on the first donkey, I'm carrying cruelty, oppression. So Isa alayhi salam asked him, well, who buys this from you? Who buys cruelty from you? Who do you sell it to? Shaitan says, I sell it to those who are in power. People who are in power, I sell cruelty to them, meaning the hukam and other people. He said, what is on your second donkey? What are you carrying over there? He said, on my second donkey, I'm carrying dishonesty. So he asked, well, who buys dishonesty from you? Who do you sell it to? He says, I sell dishonesty to the people who are merchants, businessmen, traders. People who are merchant, I sell them dishonesty, meaning I give them dishonesty. The third donkey, Isa alayhi salam asked, well, what is on that one? He says, on this donkey I'm carrying treachery, meaning deceit, deceiveness, or deceiving people. So he's carrying the vice of treachery, deceit, meaning showing something and then intending harm inside. He says, who do you sell it to? And before I give a response, don't automatically judge, because there's an explanation to it. He says, I sell this to the women. I sell treachery or deceit or deception to the women. Number 4, Isa asked him, what is on that donkey? He says, on this donkey, I am carrying jealousy. Hasad. He said, who do you sell jealousy to? He says, I sell jealousy to the ulama. They are the buyers of jealousy. I sell it to them. And it is interesting, whenever there is an anecdote, a narration about Shaitan, and the prophets see him, and they ask him questions, and he gives responses, soon after he gives responses, he realizes that he has leaked his secret out. And afterwards he says to himself, by God, I will not talk to a prophet again, because when they talk to me, I leak my secrets. So these are the 4 merchandise of Shaitan that he was carrying, and Isa happened to seize him. The first was cruelty, the second was dishonesty, the third is treachery or deception, and the 4th one is jealousy. The first, cruelty, obviously, when we hear about people of power, and that is why I want to bring this anecdote, bring this narration in light today. Because right off the bat, sometimes when we think or when we hear things about the hukam or the rulers, we think that this is being discussed in the context of those who are presidents and vice presidents and kings and stuff. We automatically exclude ourselves from the category of hakim. Because we think, well, we don't own a country, we don't rule a country, we don't have a throne, we don't have a kingdom. So I am obviously not part of that category. So anything that comes in the context of hakim or any hadith or anything like that, we automatically exclude ourselves. And that is what I wanted to bring out today from this, is that every human being is in some capacity a hakim, a ruler. Every human being in some capacity has a station of power. Every human being in some capacity has power over some people. Doesn't matter if we have a golden crown or not. Doesn't matter if we have an army of generals or not. Especially men are hakim in some or the other capacity, meaning they always have, or some people always have, people underneath them. Underneath them means those that they are responsible for. And we as Muslims or as men or the head of the household, we are hakim to an extent as well. And our little kingdom is our house. And the people in the house are our responsibility, and whoever has a responsibility will be questioned on the day of judgment for their responsibilities if they are fulfilled or not. So when it comes to the oppression and tyranny, which the shaitan has a merchandise of, and he's selling it to those who are in power, people of power, doesn't mean that he's only selling it to those who are ruling Syria and places like that. But we at an individual level are also hakim to some extent. We have some people who we are responsible for, whether children, whether wives, brothers, sisters, younger, and we are responsible for them. And if we are associated to the masjid, if we are part of the community of the masjid, then we are to some extent in power. And being in power, we have to ensure that we are using our power with justice. With justice. So the first merchandise about the oppression is not only restricted to the presidents or the kings of the world. It applies to us as well. And we have to be responsible on the day of judgment for people that are under our care. Children, We are responsible for them. And we all know that. That we will be asked if we have given the right education, and education here does not merely mean worldly education. It doesn't mean that worldly education is what education implies to. Have we, as the head of household, given the prerequisite knowledge of Islam to our children? Have we, as the head of household, ensured that our spouse is literate in Islam, because she would be the one who would be taking care of the children? The second merchandise that Shaitan is selling is the merchandise of dishonesty, which he sells to traders. And again, dishonesty and trading, dishonesty does not only pertain to the act of business. We're not only talking about people who are maybe selling fruits, weighing less or weighing more, or giving something that is not good to people with a price that is for the best amount. So it doesn't pertain to that. Dishonesty, Imam Ghazali says dishonesty is of two kinds. He says dishonesty, and Imam Qushayri in his Risala also mentions that beautiful distinction. He says dishonesty is something that when you basically are given something and you don't take care of it. Meaning you have been given an amana and we don't take care of it. And he says amana is of two kinds. One is the amana that has been given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. And the second type of amana is the amana that people give to us. The first type of amana, Imam Ghazali says, is the amana that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this body, He has given us the limbs and the organs, and it is our responsibility as an honest person, as an honest slave of Allah, to take care of that amana and not be dishonest with this blessing that we have, meaning protection of the limbs and the organs from the sins. That is what fulfillment of amana towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would mean. And he says the second type of amana is when people give something to the other. And here again, it does not only mean when somebody places $1,000 with us and say, brother, I will take it after 1 month. This is a very restricted view of amana, of safekeeping a trust. This is a very restricted view. Amana does not only pertain to wealth. Amana pertains to some information that a brother has given to you or a sister has given to you in private, with trust. And when we leak that information to sources that they are not required to be leaked, that is also being dishonest with the Muslim brothers and sisters. So for example, somebody shared a problem with you that they are having with the family, or in their lives, with work, etc. And we go around and tell people about their personal business. Or, if we don't like a person, we try and inquire about his personal matters, snatch his secrets, and then go around proving our point. Look, I told you, this person is such and such. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this, because this is what he's going to, this is what he's doing. Snatching people's personal information and breaching people's privacy is dishonesty with people. A Muslim's privacy is of utmost importance. Utmost importance. Sharing, and I'm not exaggerating here, ulama have actually talked about it in recent times. There have been questions that have been put forward with ulama. Sending pictures of people without their information, taking pictures and then sending off, putting them on Facebook, publicly exposing them. I mean, this is part of amana that we have to take care of. And in today's day, everybody has a cell phone, everybody's taking a picture, and God knows where it ends up. It ends up with somebody in the wrong hand, and people edit it, and then the next thing you know, you're sitting in Madonna, and it's publicized all over Facebook. And that's what people do. We all know that. We have seen video clips, we have seen pictures like that people are being placed with some other people that they shouldn't be standing with. So amana and honesty goes to a very personal level. And Muslims' privacy is an amana. If somebody explains to us a problem, somebody gives us a secret, If it is not required by Sharia for us to leak that secret, it is an aman to us. The third merchandise that the shaitan was carrying was a merchandise of deception, treachery. And again, he says that I said it to women, and the shara of this incident, the scholars quickly write in the bottom of the paragraph. And they say, dishonesty, treachery or deception is not only with women. But the issue here is you have to see why the person deceived. Why does a person deceive? If a person knows that they have something that is demanded, they have something that people like, and using that quality, using that ni'mah, that blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to a person to achieve the means, personal means, is what deception is. And that is we see all around our society. Men are deceiving women with the ni'mah of money that they have been given, the wealth. And women deceive with the ni'mah that they have been given with the beauty and the jamal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to them. And this society is a perfect example to see that happening right in front of our eyes. There's a kind of portrayal of who we are that we give to people versus who we actually are in our homes. Trying to deceive people to make them believe something that we are not. And again, I would link it to the modern times. And there was a study that was being done as to personal life versus Facebook life. And they came out with a study that said that they found out that the majority, at least 60% of people who have their profiles, because they search for the best profiles of Facebook, the things that you see and you're like, wow, this man is really, or this woman is really having a life. And they search that and they do analysis of that, and when they met the actual person, most of them ended up to be literally a loser and loner people. But they portray themselves on the Facebook as if they are the Ibn Battuta of the world. And that they are going here and they are doing this, they are doing all the adventures of life, and then they have so many friends, and they're eating all. And when they actually met these people, usually they were couch potatoes. Usually. They were lone, sad people who wanted to portray and deceive the world with a profile that is not them. So, deception is again at many levels. Last but not the least is the merchandise of jealousy that Shaitan was carrying with him. And he said, upon asking that I give this merchandise, I sell it to, meaning who is the buyer? He says the buyer are the ulama, the scholars. And doesn't mean the scholars of fiqh only, scholars of Quran, scholars of Nasheed, reciters of Nasheed, and all the religious capacity, basically. And a lot can be mentioned on that. If somebody would like to really see the dangers of ilm, today, because of the media, because of the information, we all want to sometimes become scholars. Even if we are not, we act like scholars, we sometimes talk like scholars, as if we know everything that is being talked about. Any discussion that is taking place in the surrounding, the easiest thing to talk about these days has become religion. It has become the easiest thing to talk about. People take reams of religion in their hands and they talk like a mufti every single time. We have, our opinions are so strong, we sometimes it looks like we don't even need scholarship around us. Because we have so set opinions about things. We're not willing to learn, we're not willing to sit down, we're not willing to even hear and tolerate a second opinion about something. And it relates directly to the issue of jealousy, because we think that we know the best. And the hasad itself, there is two entities involved in hasad. One is the hasid, and the other is mahsud. Hasid is somebody who does the jealousy, who is jealous of the person. and mahsud is the one who is being jealous of. And ulama mentioned the definition of jealousy. They say jealousy or hasad is that when a person wishes, he sees a ni'mah in somebody else. He sees a blessing with somebody else. And he sees that and he then wishes. He says, or he thinks that may that blessing be deprived of him, or he may be deprived, may Allah deprive him of that blessing, and may that blessing comes to me. Imam Ghazali mentions a very, very, accurate point on this. He said that the hasid, the person who is doing jealousy, is actually not in contentment with the distribution of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given certain blessings to certain people. And a person who wants to snatch people's blessings, who wants other people to be ripped off of their blessing, and that blessing should come to me because I am the better one, Imam Ghazali says that person who is doing this act is not content with the distribution of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah has a plan, and His plan supersedes. If He has given a blessing to somebody, it's His will. We cannot do anything just by being jealous of someone. And the person who is jealous, he does his own harm more than anybody else. Because all his good deeds are wiped off, as per the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That jealousy eats up the good deeds like the fire eats up the wood. We've all heard that hadith. So these four merchandise of shaitan, we again have to bring it to our personal level, bring it to self-reflection level, and think and analyze ourselves. Ulama say that analysis of your own self for one moment is better than a sincere ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 100 years. One moment of reflection upon ourselves and upon our condition, where we are, what are we doing, and where we are heading to. This reflection is better than 100 years of sincerity, ibadah done with sincerity, nawafil means. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to be conscious of these merchandises of shaitan that he is selling to these people. And we have to make sure that we are not the buyers of that merchandise. Because that merchandise is not a merchandise that's going to give us any profit. It's a total loss. The entire transaction is a lost transaction. Shaitan is obviously in his loss. He is a deep, deep, deep loss. And those who buy this merchandise, they become part of that loss. Because whoever is jealous, whoever is a tyrant, an oppressor, and again, oppressor doesn't mean that a person has to be sitting on a throne. We might be oppressing our own close family members and our little kingdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in the form of family. At the end of the day, why does domestic violence happen? It is because of oppression. The person is not a king. Usually a man who beats his wife is not a king of a nation. But he is oppressing another human being, especially a Muslim. So this oppression is not only restrained to the hukam, to the leaders. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to learn the religion and to apply what we know to ourselves. Because if we want to change the society, if we want to change the surrounding, the first thing that we need to change is ourselves. If we become right, the world is going to be a better place. But if we don't want to make things right within ourselves, and all we will do is correct everyone and anyone who comes in the line of fire, then we will not be able to change and revolutionize what we hope to see around us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive any mistake that has occurred in this speech, and may He give us the tawfiq to do good in our life. Few announcements. Number one is the Fajr